right, we've got Bonyth.
Bonyth. Remind me again if you know it. Sziky, he's Hungarian, right? Or is that it? I keep mixing up where Sziky's from. Yeah, Hungary. Okay. So he is Hungarian. All right. Yeah, well, I see the flags, but me being American, okay, I don't recognize any flag outside of America pretty much, so. we definitely live in our own corner over here, so forgive me if I ever kind of call somebody by the wrong country. I will be doing my best.
Understandable. It's understandable. There's so many different countries being represented here. With the foreigner squad, Sziky, the first to come out here versus Bonyth. Let's see if we can get some wins over Protoss today. Sziky gonna have us work cut out for him though, as Bonyth comes down here. He's not scouted just yet, so gonna throw down that forge here at the front to be safe.
Yeah, we did get that pylon scout, which does tend to indicate it is going to be that forge expand. So Bonyth going to be opening with the standard forge expand, right? It's obviously it's good against 12 hatch, but Sziky did go for overpull here, so we're probably going to see that 13-13 Nexus cannon follow up from Bonyth once he confirms. Or maybe, I guess you can tell by the Overlord timing actually, so it doesn't even need to go in and see the pull. He sees the Overlord, so already knows. And just going to stay here to block the hatchery. So a little bit annoying for Sziky, going to have to take that far third base as his natural, which on Deja Vu is actually pretty painful because the travel distance for your drones here is kind of insane.
Yeah, it would be even worse if Bonyth was spawned down in bottom left. Then you have to take the base over at top center, and it gets really tough. You have to walk all the way up onto the high ground and then around that corner. Defending that, just some light zealot harass can end up doing a lot of damage. Oh, 8 HP on that drone. 2 more hits. We'll be taking it out, but with 2 lings on the field now, it's going to be much more difficult.
Yeah, Bonyth really good with this probe control. We see him doing a lot of the games where he just kind of threatens workers early. Nice little tag on the way back through, but actually gonna lose the probe early, and that's actually a little bit of an issue. He's gonna want to send out another probe probably relatively soon, because once you lose that probe, it gets a little bit dangerous. Looks like he might not be sending one out, so he's just gonna play kind of blind from here. But it can be a little bit dangerous because sometimes it doesn't happen too often at the higher levels, but sometimes they kill that probe and it just becomes a trigger for them to just make a lot of lings, and if you don't see it coming, you can definitely die to it. But Sziky, his gas was a little bit later, so like Bonyth knows that speed's not coming anytime soon, at least, so he's not going to worry about a big ling, like a speed ling flood at least, so I think that's probably why he didn't send the extra probe out. He just knows with the gas timing, he's not really in a whole lot of danger.
Well, I think also Bonyth knows that on this map, Deja Vu, there's 2 eggs on the ramp, and so you can put 2 lings there, and then you can never scout the main. So sending this probe out to try and get any confirmation about a layer or a Hydra Den is just not going to happen now. You have to keep that probe alive in the main as long as possible to get that info, and without that, next best thing is just going to be holding this wall, make sure no lings slip by, and get that Corsair out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, he'll just sit back, stay safe, get his Corsair out, like you said. That'll be his next scouting timing, most likely. Sometimes you will see a little bit of a zealot push out to maybe try and get some earlier information, but yeah, I think with the gas timing and everything, like I was talking about, I'll just wait for the Corsair, and we're just going to get a normal early game macro here from both players.
Yeah, nothing too out of the ordinary. We have to watch for this Zealot coming out if he wants to put on that pressure, like you said, to just find out if there's Hydras walking across the map. It's about that timing now, but he's only built 1 Zealot so far, so really optimizing here. Second Zealot's going to pop out, and now he can pretty well block off. He still needs a probe on the right-hand side there, but did make a safety cannon. So Bonyth going up right down the middle. Not too safe, but not too greedy either, having that second cannon in the wall, just in case.
Yeah. Man, I would never do this in my ladder games, but these players obviously know each other really well. To have just made a single zealot and not know if there's lings being made or anything, and just on the ladder, that's terrifying to me. But in games like this, you know, you expect your opponent to play, you know, a little more standard, at least for the first game a lot of times too. Especially when you know each other really well. So you'll see a little bit of the you'll see a lot of games like this, and you see it at high level quite often where they'll kind of cut corners a little bit or take some shortcuts. You know, we only made a single zealot for basically it was like 4.5 minutes before that second zealot came out. So yeah, like you said, just really optimizing, getting his tech up and everything. So gets in here with the Corsair, sees the Spire timing, gonna go for one Overlord here. And he should have time to be able to pick that off and get out before the Scourge come out, and then also get this Overlord on the right side. So 2 Overlords gonna go down, so that's about the most you could hope for, actually, when doing this.
Yeah, he's going to get those 2 Overlords and slide on back. Sees the second gas. That's a important scout there as well. Will check the third. Make sure that there's no third gas. Without seeing the third gas, you're pretty confident. Oh, he catches it with the Scourge. That's a big catch there. He might throw down that third gas and try to go into a Mutilist timing. There is that possibility whenever you see the third gas. So, like, seeing no third gas, he might discount that, but there's an opportunity right now for Sziky to switch up his game plan. Doesn't seem like he's going for that, though. Maybe just going into Hydralist play after this.
Yeah, it looks like that is going to be what he's doing. We see the Hydras popping out now, but yeah, pretty smart by Sziky making the Scourge there at the third base, right? So that he can potentially go for that intercept and does catch it coming back home. We've only got a few Zealots coming out here now with the speed lots. And also Bonyth, you know, he lost the probe and he didn't make a single cannon in his mineral lines either. He's really trying to optimize as much as possible and cut as many corners as he can.
Yeah, this is what separates the pros from just the average Joes. We've got a very good optimization here, but the Ling run by actually taking advantage of that egg that was just killed. DT pops out. It's going to help to kill off these Lings, but it's going to cause a bit of a slowdown in the mining here. Oh, he actually gets most of the Lings with just the probes, and now can easily let this DT chase the Ling. It will go down. It delays the DT a bit and allows him, you know, information that that's coming at least, but still a little bit rough to just lose those Lings without really getting any damage done. Now running in here with the Corsairs. Nice target fire from the Hydras to kill one of the Corsairs. That DT at the back needs to be target fired. Can he actually kill it? Not going to kill it here. He's actually maneuvering some units around right now instead. And so the DT will just run over a lot of this stuff. 4 kills on that so far, but it does have to back out as more Overlords are sent this direction and the drones are pulled away. Sziky, that damage, I don't know if that's exactly what Bonyth was looking for, but he keeps the DT alive, and so the threat is still real.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of like a low commitment from Bonyth, right? It was only like 4 or 5 Zealots with the DT and Sarah, and he did lose 1 Sarah, maybe 2. I didn't quite recognize if the second one died, but you know, he's only down to 4 cores there, but that's still enough for protecting your Templar from mutas if he does try to go for a muta swap. So as long as he doesn't lose any more Corsair, I think having 4 is completely fine for now. But yeah, like you said, the DT got a few drone kills, killed off a few Hydras, and got out with most of his units. So it wasn't like the best trade, but he didn't really lose much for it either. So I would say slightly Bonyth favorite on that little push out there.
Gonna get rid of those eggs on the ramp. Can be so annoying to move Dragoons up and down there and through the Sim City at the front. And so he's gonna open that up really nice and early here, utilizing the high DPS of the DT to just get rid of that egg that has lots of armor on it. As he moves forward here, there's a good chunk of Hydras to push all of this stuff back. Sziky's got like that nice 2 groups of Hydras that you kind of need to deal with these early game Zealot attacks, but however, he may be losing some Overlords during this, and the second group of Hydras is coming up from behind. Is he going to be able to trap all this army, or is he going to be the one getting trapped here against the buildings in his third base? He's bringing up another Overlord here from the back. That DT is just going to bail out. Excellent control overall from Sziky holding that push.
Yeah, he kind of preemptively had those Hydras coming out for a flank, so that was a pretty rough trade for Bonyth, losing all of those Zealots for basically just a few Hydras and a couple Overlords, so it's the first, like, good moment for Sziky, I feel like, in this game. He's also going to catch this DT in between, which is nice, too. Is going to lose another Overlord or two here in the process, so this is something I've always felt like with high-level Protoss players that is, like, super important. A lot of times, at, like, lower ranks and stuff, especially my rank, you see, like, these Corsair get made, and then they don't really find a whole lot of value. It's like, okay, well, I made, like, basically anti-muta Corsair to protect my High Templar, but when you see higher level players using these Saren, even when a bunch of Hydra are out, they are constantly finding pressure and Overlords to pick off without bleeding off too many Corsair. And yeah, we've seen that from Bonyth so far. He's probably cut, like, what, 7 or 8 Overlords at this point. Nebula even goes down to the Dragoon, so yeah, we see there are a lot of kills on these Corsair in total. So he's done a great job of getting pretty good value. A lot of Lurkers coming out for Sziky. We do have our Storms and Observer out now, so Bonyth completely fine to hold this position and take his third.
It's going to be hard to aggress as Sziky from this spot. Bonyth is just standing up on the high ground. Kind of want to bait that Protoss army a little bit away from the defensive position and then try to slip in with the Lurkers into a good spot where you force Bonyth to actually attack into that Lurker line. Diving on top of the Protoss army with this Lurker force is very difficult to pull off, and it will often result in, some nasty storms. That is a great storm right there, hitting a Lurker and a bunch of Hydras as well, and just warding away this army, keeping this third base safe for now.
Yeah, great trades from Bonyth. This death ball that Bonyth is building up starts getting really hard for Zerg to trade into with just Lurker tech. When you have, like, the really high Dragoon count like this with the Templar, and you see it there, it's like, he did pick off the Observer, which is nice, but he bled off quite a few Hydra and a Lurker for it. And this is kind of a scary moment for Zerg in a lot of these games when Protoss's army just keeps growing like this, and they're just trading Storm for army, and their death ball gets bigger and bigger, and you're just... You have to be worried about eventually getting overrun if they keep trading too low.
You have to be worried as well about them just moving back and forth like this. You see Bonyth moves over to the left. He forces the Lurkers to go to the high ground, and then immediately moves to the right and threatens to attack that north base. But for whatever reason, he decides to turn his attention back to the center. A couple of nice Templar snipes there. Does lose some Hydras for that. But those snipes on the Templar are definitely worth it. They've just been building up that energy for such a long time. They've got plenty of storms available, and you gotta cut through those storms if you ever want to approach the Dragoons and actually start to take down that ball.
Yeah, and this is where it starts getting really scary for Zerg. Once that third gas gets online for Protoss, they can start pumping insane amounts of Goon Storm, and the death ball just gets bigger really, really fast, and you get to a point where your lair tech's not good enough anymore to fight against this, right? And we're getting kind of close to that supply, that 160 supply death ball. Here is where it starts getting a little bit tough for Zerg to trade well enough to stay alive even. Big storm, holy. A lot of Hydra damage, Lurkers going down.
Yeah, Hydras are just not in high enough number here. He could push through with the Dragoons on their own. They will be able to take decent enough fights with these Lurkers. One or two more storms could be thrown in as well. He's going to pull the Lurkers forward here. It's a little bit crazy, but he can't allow Bonyth to hold this position. Bonyth can rotate over towards that third base if he wants to and start to threaten those hatcheries, and the Lurkers will have to follow. They can't just stay over here while the base gets destroyed, so he's a little bit worried. He wants to collapse on that army. Bonyth starts to back away, though. He's actually taking a base up in the top right-hand corner. Kind of an unorthodox base to take in a situation like this when he's got his army on the south side of the map. But here we go, running forward with some more Lurkers. A great storm there. Hits 3 Lurkers at a time and just starts to annihilate those Zealots. Running forward here, but the Dragoon count is getting lower. He's managed to cut through at least about half of that Dragoon original ball, and so keeping this a little bit light on the units, keeping that ball kind of small. Maybe he can get up into top right and prevent that base.
Yeah, Sziky's been trading really well. Bonyth actually has run out of storms, I think. We're just on the ground army only, just Zealot Goon, which starts having a little bit of a harder time trading against this. We do have one Templar finally joining here, but even though the army composition isn't what Bonyth is looking for, he does have high enough numbers to be able to push this back. Sziky kind of just shy of a high enough Hydra count. He needed like maybe another 15 or so Hydras in that group, and he could have pushed this back. So a little bit of a scary-ish moment for Bonyth when you start running out of Storm. You start getting a little bit scared from that Swarm coming in when you just don't have the Storm to protect your army anymore and push it back. So yeah, a little bit of a tight hold from Bonyth. It wasn't super scary, but you never know how much Zerg is coming.
Oh, it's a little rough here for Sziky. You can see him sending Lings down to check for a 4th base. He's like, oh, where are you taking a 4th base down here? This is the side of the map that your army was on, so you're probably taking a base in bottom left or bottom center. Not the case. Bonyth snuck a probe to top right, and he's got cannons on high ground. This is now a 30-minute game unless Protoss finds a way to win.
Yeah. Yeah, Sziky he hasn't got the bad news yet. He might be able to assume it, you know, in this situation to surmise that the base is actually on the top right. Like you said, he was looking for it. And it's definitely a bad situation. If you're even bases as Zerg against Protoss, especially 4 base versus 4 base like this, it starts getting really rough for Zerg really fast. Like you said, with the cannons getting up, nice pick on these Templar there. Two relatively fresh Templar, about 90 energy each going down. So that's actually really nice. Keeping the storm count very low. We're going to have only about 3 storms in this death ball right now for Bonyth. But yeah, like you said, with the cannons going up on this high ground, it starts becoming pretty much unbreakable for Zerg. And like you said, either Zerg dies or he wins half an hour from now.
This is something that pro Zerg players do that I can never pull off, is just small group of Lings coming in and killing multiple High Templar. That's so good for Sziky. This like 8 Lings killed 3 High Templar, and it's insane value that he's getting out of those units. Mostly for me, they're just running in and dying. They're basically fodder, but in the right hands, you can definitely get a lot done, and Sziky seems to be doing a great job. He even snipes the Templar here in the army. The one Templar that was with this army, a few more are going to come up from the rally point, but they've only got probably 1 storm each, and that's not going to be enough to push through this position. Sziky doing a great job, but he just doesn't know about that base in the top right. He has no idea that that's there, and as long as Bonyth is holding that location... Oh god, he's going to send the drone over here now and find out the bad news. This is the heart sinks into the pit of your stomach moment here as soon as you try to come up this ramp. There's a DT on the ramp as well. Dude, this is perfect play from Bonyth, but I hate to see it.
Yeah, that's actually funny. I thought maybe Sziky assumed, but yeah, you see that drone go over there, and he had no idea. He was thinking he was in a great position, and he almost was, right? Like, if he were able to continue growing while getting all those picks, I would actually like it decently for him. But we have that. We're getting into the late stage now. We got the Hive Tech is done, and we have the Reavers joining the fight now, but Bonyth, he likes to use his Reavers very aggressively in this matchup. He doesn't just defend with them, which you see a lot of Protosses do, and they just try to like defend and turtle and get a lot of value. Bonyth likes to be very aggressive with his Reavers, and yeah, we'll see him continue to push forward and continue to trade here. But yeah, definitely a heartbreaking moment for Sziky when he realizes that 4th base has already been taken for Bonyth, when he's probably sitting here thinking he was 4 base versus 3 base the whole time.
Yeah, 4 base versus 4 base is not too bad for the Zerg if you are getting into that Hive Tech, and it looks like that's what he's been doing. He's been moving that direction. Going to be under threat here over at the top center now. Reavers are being pushed into position. They can cut through these lurkers here on the ground pretty quickly and start to open up this spot. And so, I mean, we're going to have to see some Defilers out here soon. He's got to get over here with some Plague to be able to get rid of these Reavers. You got to get a Plague on the Reavers so that you can snipe them a little bit quicker with the Hydra's great storm there on the left-hand side. The flanking army was a great idea, but if you can't get out of the storms, you can't dodge the storms, it's not going to work out too well for you. Bonyth just backing away over into this top right. And again, this is going to be a 30 to 40 minute game if it's a Zerg victory.
Yeah, Sziky's fighting pretty well. He's keeping the supply really even. Like you said, even though he hasn't got the Defiler tech out yet, right? He's still actually fighting pretty well considering he's against Storm Reaver with basically just Hydraling Lurker. He's going to try and push this back into the natural. I don't feel like this is breakable at all. We're going to have multiple Reavers behind cannons here. There's no Hydras to really pick off the shuttle, only a few there. It's going to catch the transferring probes, which is something, at least, but yeah, this is not going to be breakable. 5th base now coming up online for Bonyth as Sziky's taking his own 5th. And we could be in for the long haul for this one, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, there is an opportunity here for Sziky. You know, as soon as Bonyth moves to take that base over there, oh my gosh, the meat grinder. Absolutely running into it there. As that base is being taken to the top right and a lot of the forces are being concentrated in that location, the natural kind of opens up for a potential counter. Maybe Sziky can put together an army to break that natural, but he's struggling right now to just get these defilers out. He really needs them. There they are, defilers here. That'll help him to hold back the army down or up in the top right, and then maybe help him to also break the natural if that's the direction he wants to go now. There's just a few cannons there, and if you're able to drop a Dark Swarm, that's not really going to matter.
Yeah, absolutely. We will have the Reavers at least that can shoot within the Dark Swarm and some Storm as well, but... Oh, nice pickup to dodge the Plague there on those Reavers. So it gets only the Shuttle, which is still something. Oh, and I guess we hit an Observer as well, so we finished off the Observer. But the Shuttle is going to be low, so it's going to be at least a little harder for Bonyth to micro with it, but the Reavers at least did dodge the Plague, so he's got that going for him. But yeah, we're just going to keep getting constant value here. A lot of these late game PVZs in this situation, it just turns into a value game where you're looking for, as Protoss, you're just looking to constantly get good value. Yeah, picking off a few lurkers, getting the Defiler even with the splash, pretty frustrating for Sziky so far. And we all know how godlike Bonyth's Reaver control is. Even faking the pickup there to get them to change targets off of the Reaver. And yeah, this is great value from Bonyth. You start to see it reflected in the supply. We were both almost maxed earlier. There's a nice play getting the Reavers softened up, so they're going to be just a tap away now from death. And these Hydra's going to come in and try to finish them off.
No,
But
another
shuttle. Oh my god.
My god. I feel for this man right now, Sziky. He's having a hard time. He does have a pretty decent setup there at the 12. And he's going to be mining that out. That's, I guess, now kind of on Bonyth's side of the map, right? Because Bonyth is taking the top right. So if he mines that out... Oh, we have a drop here. Oh, nice. The Lurker managing to save the day. That could have been catastrophic. Sziky gotta hold this bottom left, though. I don't see a Nidus Canal here, and the army is moving before his army. He doesn't know it. He sees it now. Is there an Observer here? Yes, there is. Observer is coming up. It's a little bit late to the party, though, and so a lot of the Zealots take big chunks of damage. Here comes Storms at 12 o'clock. Oh, the Storms hurt so bad, and it's going to continue as well while this push is happening in the bottom left.
Yeah, we just lost like 15 plus drones in that Storm. So this push ended up serving as more of a diversion. Plague, they're only going to hit, what, one Templar in the Archon, which, of course, Plaguing an Archon, pretty much completely pointless, but it's hard not to hit them too because they're so big. So they're pretty good for absorbing Plagues.
There we go. He finally will bring together some Scourge. You have to have those Scourge to try and ward away the drops there, and he wasn't able to put all of those little things together. Too difficult, too much going on in that late game scenario, but it really comes down to Sziky not seeing the base in the top right. That really put him behind.
Yeah, I think he completely misjudged his position in that game, right? Because we saw him scouting the bottom left, you were pointing that out, and then we saw that drone go top right, so he had no idea that was up there. So if he had known, he would have been able to respond properly, but by the time he got the bad news, I feel like it was a little bit too late. He had been trading a little bit down, right, as Zerg typically does against Protoss, and yeah, once he confirmed that the top right base was up and running, we already had the Reaver tech out, and then we just saw a little bit of a kind of a value masterclass from Bonyth, just getting, by the time those two Reavers went down, they had done thousands of resources worth of damage, so they definitely more than paid for themselves.
Well, props to Sziky anyway for his ability to keep trading during that game. I was surprised how well he was able to do with just Lurker, Ling, Hydra against the kind of tacked out army of Bonyth, but we're getting ready to go into this next game here.
All right, yeah. Let's go ahead and hop into game number 2 of Sziky versus Bonyth. All right, spawning here in the top right, the Hungarian Zerg Sziky.
Down in the bottom left, the Polish Protoss Bonyth.
All right, so we got Polestar for our second map here. I kind of like this map. I haven't really seen a whole lot of PvZ on it, but I feel like it seems like a pretty decent map for Protoss, I would think. I mean, the three bases are pretty close together and pretty easy to defend. A little bit more so than Deja Vu for Protoss, I feel. And then Protoss likes to swing their army back and forth, kind of like what you were pointing out in the last game. Once they get that kind of Storm Goon army, they like to just kind of go side to side to side, looking for little picks and engagements and stuff like that to trade energy for army. And I think this map kind of even leans towards that a little bit more because you do have those high grounds. Like typically you're going to have that kind of middle of the map control as your Protoss army, and you got those high grounds that if you get into position, it becomes kind of annoying for Zerg to fight around.
Yeah, it can be a little bit hard to flank Protoss army on this map. And it's very difficult to break that third base for sure. That third base is very tight and close to the naturals, so easy to swing back and forth with the defensive army between those two locations. It's in a lot of cases coming down to catching the army in between the bases or getting a lurker set up in between the third and the natural. That can be difficult to break, but I don't know. I don't know what Sziky's game plan is looking like here. He's cross map. He's going to find out about that soon with this scouting drone, and we'll see how he reacts here. If he wants to go into a super long game or if he wants to try and stick on layer tech and beat down Bonyth with pure strength.
Yeah, we'll see how he wants to adapt his game plan. If he wants to adapt at all, I mean, he might actually just feel like the mid game, the early mid game was going really well for him, and I actually think he did do a pretty fantastic job of navigating it. I mean, you could hear it when I was talking about it. I thought it was going to go pretty poorly for him, but I feel like he was trading really, really well. And maybe he just thinks, he needs to do more of the same, but, kind of do a little bit better job of collecting information and responding properly. And we do have a little bit of a different opener. We do have the gate expand from Bonyth this time. Sees the Lings out, just going to bring a Zealot back home. I thought maybe he might try to hide it a little bit somewhere, but yeah, I guess it's going to come all the way back home.
Yeah, if you're playing against a high level Zerg, you can't really get away with that. Having that Zealot out on the map. Like, even if it makes its way into the third and starts hitting the hatchery, if Sziky just keeps making Lings, you just won't have enough back at home. And the one Zealot hitting the hatchery is just not going to do enough damage to make it worthwhile. And so he's just going to, hold the wall here. 3 Zealots is a good number to keep this gateway alive until he can get this cannon online.
Yeah. I mean, you end up in this situation a lot in these gate expand versus overpull especially. But Sziky actually made a few extra Lings here as well. I mean, you kind of do need like 12-ish, right, to deter 3 Zealots. So as Bonyth continues making Zealots, he's going to have to keep adding Lings potentially. But it can be a little bit more reactive, right? He just wants enough to be comfortable. Sit out front with a few of his Lings, have a few at home to deal with the scouting probe, and then, make Lings on reaction if the Zealots start to commit pretty heavy.
I like this from Sziky. He's got these Lings on the ramp. He can completely deny any information here from Bonyth, and Bonyth cannot just assume that there's no Hydralisk bus coming. He has to scout for it, he has to search for it, he has to prepare for it, add an extra cannon, that sort of thing, and that might give Sziky a little bit of an advantage that an extra drone maybe wouldn't have when he built those Lings.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, this probe, it mostly just it kind of wants to swing back and forth from expo to expo and just see what's coming out of the eggs, right? You just want to make sure that they're still droning. But we do have that Spire finishing up pretty soon from Bonyth, from Sziky. But we see the Zealots moving out from Bonyth. It's going to be 5 Zealots total, which is kind of a break point. Like the typical push outs you see from Protoss is 3 and 5. 3 and 5 Zealots that can trade against a fair amount of Lings. This could just be your standard kind of fake push out where you move out and you make it look like you're attacking, tuck your Zealots a little bit, make them worried they lost track of it, try and make them make Lings, because a lot of times you'll push out a little bit. If you don't go commit far enough, you kind of gotta find that balance sometimes, right? Because we see it here where Sziky didn't really make very many more lings, right? He didn't make enough lings to beat those, but you got to find that little bit of a balance where you commit far enough. I guess he did actually make a few more than I thought. But you don't want to go too far so you don't get swallowed up, but you want to go far enough that they actually get scared and make the lings.
Looks like he's, yeah, he's walked that fine line pretty well. Sziky also not over making lings too heavily. Like, he definitely made enough to stop that, but he wasn't, like, panic spamming Zed and,
Right.
you know, getting overzealous in that manner. So he's going to be able to get out some more drones here. Another round is coming, some overlords, and of course, we're going to have those Scourge here in just a moment. As the Corsair comes in, are we going to see Bonyth lose his first Corsair again, or will he be a little bit more conservative this time, seeing that the Spire is already done?
Yeah, I imagine when he sees the Spire's done, you can't really risk it right now. We're going to see him turn around right away and come back home, so he might try to poke this one on the outside, because it's got like a comfortable enough angle to retreat. We'll see if Sziky goes around a little bit to try and cut him off or just fly straight in. Is going to go straight in, so Bonyth is going to see that and turn back around. And
Ooh,
Corsair
some
should be
more
completely fine.
Scourge. Well, these
And
Scourge
are
coming
we...
from the third, are they going to actually get into a...
Ooh.
Oh, this is really good by Sziky. Can he actually catch this? No, just a slight angle change, and he does manage to back out. I mean, that was pretty close. Maybe if Sziky delayed the first pair of Scourge coming from the natural, maybe he could have gotten into a better angle, but it is what it is. He manages to get away without losing any Overlords thus far.
Yeah, no Overlord losses this time, right? As opposed to the last game where he lost the 2, so not really much being done so far as damage. Just a little bit of kind of poking in and out, kind of testing each other, but I think other than the one probe and the one ling, nothing's died, right? So as far as bloodshed goes, it's been pretty passive, but definitely a lot of feints being thrown from both players.
Skill checks and honesty checks, just making sure, okay, do you have 2 cannons? Are you sure you got enough cannons here? Are you going to pull the probes? Could run by just straight up into the main, but instead going to go after the cannon. A little crazy here from Sziky. He gets rid of that cannon, though, and now can go up here, start to hit this gateway. A couple Zealots are about to pop out, so they should be able to deal with that. Oh! Too much going on for Bonyth right now. He loses 2 Corsairs to a few Scourge, and that's going to really hamper this attack that was supposed to come in, actually kill some Overlords while the Zealots run interference. He's going after some drones. Target fire on the drones, pretty darn good. He gets 2-3 drones maybe, but overall, Sziky has a great hold here with that distraction tactic into the main.
Yeah, good defense. Picking off those 2 Corsair definitely could be a big deal later, so that was kind of nice. And Bonyth, he does have a pretty high Zealot count right now. Sziky's supply is actually surprisingly low. I guess our drone count's really low. We're pumping a lot of Hydras right now, I guess. I saw his natural was only like 4 or 5 drones on the mineral line. So Eco a little bit weaker than maybe he'd like to be.
For sure, for sure. A lot of Zerg players will stop at 35 and then get a couple of groups of Hydras and then switch back into drone production to get up to that 45 just for a bit of safety. It looks kind of like that's what Sziky's done here, but you got to be careful with these Hydras. They are your lifeline and what you need to defend yourself until the drones are really up in number. And it looks like he's going to use those drones, threaten to, you know, do a bit of a drone drill there, and that will force Bonyth back. Sitting at home now, Sziky going to go up to that 45, maybe even 50 drones here before starting to power once again.
Yeah, I imagine he's starting to get pretty comfortable this setup now, with a decent number of Hydras. Has killed off a few of these Zealots at least. He's got a sunken up in each base, 6 hatchery on the way. Gonna unsupply block here, and I think we'll start queuing up a bunch more drones, it looked like. So as long as he doesn't take any damage, his drone count will be where he wants it, and he can start pumping properly very, very soon.
All right, looks like Bonyth actually moving towards his third base. He's realized that Sziky is powering right now. He doesn't have a lot of strength on the map, and maybe he can get away with just making a Nexus immediately. Try to sneak some cannons out over there, get a couple Templar into that position. He's got the probe ready and waiting. He hasn't thrown on the pylon just yet, though. Still working on that gateway count in the main and getting some more forces out here. Sziky comes across the map with that Overlord speed and a lot of Hydras to work with. He is now in full Hydraless production mode at 47 workers. You can slip out extra hatcheries on the map and non-stop Hydra production as well. But what's going to be his additional tech? Is he going to make some lurkers here, or are we going to see a big round of mutas come out to start to snipe those high temps?
Yeah, I mean, he did target down more of the Corsair earlier too, right? So I think there's only, like, what, a couple Corsair left over?
He spent
Maybe,
that
like...
gas. I don't know where it's gone, but he spent it.
Yeah, okay, we got 4 Corsair. So I think he remade even a Corsair too, right? Because he lost 3 so far, I'm pretty sure. And we still have 4. Typically, it's 6, right? 5 or 6 is usually what we're stopping at. So I think he did remake, 1 or 2, just to be a little bit extra safe. But that was kind of nice, kind of map presence from Sziky there. He killed a bunch of the Zealots, then kind of postured aggressively so that Bonyth couldn't get that third up and running like he wanted to. We had, he started the pylon, then had to cancel the pylon. So that just kind of buys Sziky a little bit of time where they're going to be on basically 3 base versus 2 base a little bit longer, right? So just kind of a comfortable position here for Sziky now, I think. But we are starting to get into that, that scary death ball supply that always ends up coming kind of mid-game. So we'll see if Sziky can navigate it this time as well as he did last game.
Well, Ziki's going to build up a pretty big lurker count here, and he's going to be in a very nice setup at his third base, baiting the Protoss army to come down into this kind of kill box here so that he can surround and try to kill that. Will Bonyth overcommit here? He's coming in for a few little storms here and there, getting some good damage on these Lings and Hydras. Couple of good snipes there from Sziky as well. Got to be careful with this army. If the Zerg manages to sneak around, like pull the lurkers from that third base and get in behind on the high ground behind the Protoss army, it gets a little bit scary. You might have to move over to the left there and run out. Again, this area is a bit scary as well. The storms are going to be insanely valuable, though. Throwing down some storms here. Lurkers right in the city are going to be hard to break, and then the flank can come through. Can Sziky get the flank off, or will Bonyth escape this little trap that's been set up here? Oh gosh, it's all coming down. Sziky getting a huge surround on a lot of this stuff, getting the Lings right in on top of everything. Good dodges here on the storms as well. Keeping those Hydras alive on the left-hand side, continuing to get this damage, dude. Sziky is doing such a good job with this hold. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, this went really well for Sziky. Bonyth, he kind of tucked himself there in that kind of corridor, which is pretty hard for Zerg to fight too, but Sziky did a great job of coming out with his army behind him, getting a good surround, and reset a lot of that Goon and Templar count, which is a really important part of this army composition for Bonyth, and Sziky behind that going to double expand. I love this call. He just got a great trade, reset a lot of the scary stuff from Bonyth, and he knows that he's not going to be under pressure of dying anytime soon, so he gets greedy behind it. I really like that call.
Very smart call from Sziky for sure. Just needs to be careful of small zealot hit squads running over and killing one of these bases. But the second base, I mean, even if one of these bases gets suddenly sniped, he's still going to be in a fine position because he's got that backup to hold him over at least until he can get another base going. Going up to 4 bases here with the Hive on the way. Very nice spot here. Best chance for Sziky to take down Bonyth in this game, I think.
Yeah, we've even got Plague just about done already, so... yeah, I like Sziky's position quite a bit this game. It's much, much better than last game. His eco is going to be... if he doesn't take any damage here in the next couple of minutes, his eco is going to be pretty insane compared to Bonyth. Bonyth almost, if he doesn't get another base up and running relatively soon. We saw him trying to take that 9 o'clock, but yeah, we see the consumes coming down. Plague just about done. Gonna get a nice pick on this Templar that was about 200 energy on the backside as well. Is going to cancel the 3 o'clock base, but like you said, he doesn't need to keep this base, right? He doesn't have to fight for it or take a bad fight. He's got that 12 o'clock that finish up behind us. And 4 base versus 3 base, you're on Hive Tech. Sziky's very happy in this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to try and get some more Plagues going here. Plague. Looks like it's not going to be able to connect Bonyth, making a run back. Corsairs are being sent in right now. If he picks off all the Corsairs... is something I love, is just to spread the overlords absolutely everywhere. Put an overlord over every single base on the map so that you know exactly when each one's being taken, and Bonyth can't get away with another sneaky play like that last game.
Yeah, we got a storm drop, I think, going down here at 12 o'clock, right as the drone transfer comes in. But it's only a few drones, so it's not too bad right now. Sziky is on 49. Only lost one drone, so pretty good reaction. But do we respond to this in time? I think he's a little bit too distracted. And we see another 5-ish drones go down while this fight is happening. But this position gonna be kind of hard for Bonyth to break once more the reinforcements get here. I think Sziky's just a little bit too distracted. There's a lot going on. We got the DT in the main, we have the storm drops coming down. The Scourge at least are gonna pick off that shuttle, so that's gonna be some relief for him. But he might have lost track of this DT, so we'll keep an eye on that. Even the Templar here kind of being forgotten about, so Sziky being taxed from the kind of three-prong attack here from Bonyth.
Yeah, this is a very good attack from Bonyth. He's actually fallen a little bit behind in his upgrade. So only one attack means he's still going to take 3 hits to kill these Lings, and with the 1 armor. So these Lings are going to do very well against Zealots for the time being. Not quite enough to actually deny that base, especially with the reinforcements coming up there, but you're going to see these Lings really start to do well here, and Sziky's going to keep up with these upgrades. As long as he's even with Carapace to the attack upgrades of Bonyth, it's always a good fight for him.
Yeah, and the Ling upgrades too, they just scale into late game so well against Protoss. Once you're on like 3 attack Adrenalings, like when you have like a plagued army with those Lings on top of you, it's crazy how fast the Protoss army can melt. Gonna see another little fight here, a little bit of a double Dark Swarm there on those Lurkers, but gonna target down one of the High Templar. And yeah, this DT that was forgotten about, gonna come in here and get a couple kills. But Sziky is gonna spot that and clean this up. I don't think it killed too many drones there. I think we just haven't moved our drones back since that storm drop earlier.
I think you're right. 67 drones still on the field. He's going to have to give up this base again, but I think very likely Sziky going to start to stretch up into the top left-hand corner. As always, Bonyth really favoring the use of DTs in these late-game situations. They're just so strong when you're forcing your Zerg opponent to constantly maneuver overlords into position to just be able to move at all, to take any sort of a fight. Getting right in here on top of this base, though, with the Lurkers, he's going to get big kills on these transferring probes. However, does he have enough at the rally point to hold on? This army from Bonyth is pushing forward. Can he actually snipe that Observer? The Observer snipe right now would be insanely strong. You just need a couple of Lurkers to defend everything at that point. No, not able to get that Observer. Bonyth can keep trying to push his luck here, but he's losing the base in center left.
Yeah, as long as Sziky holds on, he's in a really good position. There is only 1 or 2 Lurkers here left, but he's kind of breaking through here. There's not much Storm left either. A bunch of Lings coming in. These Lurkers here at the 9 o'clock still being uncontested. And yeah, you kind of see it in the supply. Bonyth also lost a lot of probes earlier. We see a few Lings even reinforcing the Lurkers here. Sziky understands that killing this base is really important. Is going to hold on to his 3rd base as well. And yeah, I'm liking Sziky's position more and more the longer this goes on. Getting a great trade here in middle. And I think Bonyth he's in a lot of trouble soon.
Yeah, I think he might just be dead. If he can't stabilize here, he has to keep this base alive. Center left is his lifeline. He lands 2 Reavers on that high ground, so making a very swift transition into that late game Reaver tag, but he's got no Observer to deal with this Lurker that's just been pummeling the base here over and over for the longest time. More army coming up from Bonyth. He may be able to just barely scrape together enough of a defense to hold on to this position, but Sziky is starting to run away with this game for sure.
Yeah, and this has been such a thorn in Bonyth's side here at 9 o'clock. He's been wanting to get a proper transfer here for a while now. It's kind of barely mining. He's only mining on his 3rd base right now and a little bit here at the 9 o'clock base, but he has to clear this army off in order to transfer. And we see another pick on the Templar there. And Bonyth's bank is gone. Yeah, we only have a few probes there. He's finally going to be able to escort a few up here to start mining. But it's been going really well for Sziky so far. He is taking that 3 o'clock base and double expanding again on that right side while attacking here on the left. So I like this play a lot because he's got Bonyth really focused here on the other side of the map, trying to make sure he doesn't take too much damage and stay alive. Whereas Sziky's double expanding, so even though Sziky's not going to be able to break through this base, he delayed it long enough. He's growing on the other side of it, And it feels like as long as he continues to just kind of hold his ground and stabilize here, he's going to get further and further ahead.
I'm not sure exactly how he's doing on the upgrades, if he's been keeping up with that. There's a great plague. Got to save some energy, though, for those Reavers that are going to be popping out here soon. Getting a plague on that. Always just a critical moment. Oh, he's got Ultralisk Cavern as well. Got a win more move, but maybe he'll be throwing out some Ultras here to try and finish this game, as Bonyth is just running out of money. He just doesn't really have all that much. Great dodge there. Great dodge on the plague, managing to keep that Reaver at high HP.
Dude, why doesn't everybody just do that instead? I never see anybody dodging plagues with their shuttles like that. It's such a good play. It's something that's like one of those things that's like obvious, but you have to be paying attention so often to be able to pull that off, and you have to time it correctly, because if you just pick it up too early, they just won't plague. So yeah, Bonyth basically has that timing pretty much perfect to force out the plague and dodge it with his Reaver. Bonyth getting to a decent supply, but I'm just worried about his overall size right now. And he is making this push, but with the Reaver or the Defiler here and the Lurkers, he's going to try and, you know, get his pushing and value with his Reavers going, trying to push Sziky back. If he can push Sziky back and like take out this 3 o'clock base, then I would like it for him, but I don't know that that's going to be possible. We even have Ultras have finished and are out on the field now. Gonna target on this one Reaver, and it probably maybe was gonna go down. It seemed like it had to be getting low.
I'm a bit scared for Sziky, actually. Building all these Ultras, and puts a lot of his eggs into one big basket. He's trying to get on top of this army and just completely wipe it out, but the Reavers are going to do so much damage here. He actually needs a pair of Scourge just in the chaos of the attack. Get that kill on this shuttle so that he can finally take care of that Reaver. Oh man, this army is in between the transfer and the base down in bottom right. He's gonna lose a lot of these drones, it looks like. Turn around. Oh my gosh, they're gonna run right through all of this army, and the storm absolutely eviscerates every single worker, down to just 51 now.
Man, that was a really bad moment for Sziky, and I'm kind of with you, being a little bit worried now. We got all these Ultras out, and you know, I don't want to... I'm just not going to pull any punches. Ultras are not good in this matchup, especially at this stage of the game. We already have Archons and Reavers, which both handle Ultras really well. So I am a little bit worried about Sziky dumping his entire bank. We see it suddenly, he's completely broke. He just lost the base and a bunch of his drones. And even though Bonyth is on 4 bases total, as long as Protoss is mining on 2 bases, they're completely fine in this matchup.
Yeah, and the problem also is that some of these bases are starting to mine out for Sziky, right? His main is pretty much mined out. His natural is getting mined out. He needs that next base to keep this ball rolling. And the Ultras are just... I mean, they're getting in here. They're taking a pretty decent trade over in this natural. He's going to throw down a Dark Swarm. Probably should have thrown a Plague on the Reavers in a situation like this. That Dark Swarm just gets absolutely overwhelmed. There are so many Archons here. It's crazy. These Archons are going to do fantastic against the mostly Ultralisk army of Sziky.
Yeah, I feel like the Ultras kind of made the composition really easy for Bonyth, honestly. Like, you just make a bunch of Zealot Archon, right? Because it's Ling Ultra and Plague, right? And Archons don't care about Plague, they don't care about Lings, they don't care about Ultra. So as long as they're not trying to chew through a bunch of Lurkers and stuff under Swarm, then they're actually completely... Like, they're really, really powerful in this matchup outside of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to have a bit of a counterattack going on here. Sziky, he's going to go for the natural. Maybe he can get some really good kills here. But it's going to come down to this defense. If he can get damage and, you know, maybe even kill some, you know, Reavers popping out, or maybe he can get some kills on a few of these gateways while defending this. But the defense is what matters. If Bonyth gets on top of this base and prevents it from continuing to mine, Sziky, it might just be forced to tap out of this game. The Reavers are still there. Oh my gosh, he really needed to get rid of these Reavers in order to get rid of this army, because he's going to be up on high ground with like 7 Archons and 2 Reavers. How the heck do you even get up there? He has to abandon the base.
Man, he has to abandon the base, but he can't really afford to abandon the base. That's part of the problem here now. We see Sziky's supplies suddenly plummet down. He's got this top left base mining. He's got 3 o'clock mining. Bonyth probably about out of minerals on his third base, so might be looking to take another base relatively soon. But I mean, he's trading so unbelievably well with his army composition against what Sziky has. I mean, he's up 80 supply now. His army is terrifying. He's got, what, 4 Reavers at least and a ton of Archons. This is suddenly rough for Sziky. The game really flipped on its head very suddenly. Oh man, even going to deny this. Did all the drones die? That's got 27 kills on that.
I think quite a few of them did, in fact, die. These Lings are going to come up, try to get rid of some of the Archons. He actually killed about 4 or 5 Archons a little bit earlier, so getting some progress here, but I think that behind this Bonyth is massing up another giant army, and Sziky just does not have the income to match him anymore. He's even got 2 Ultras, by the way, down in the bottom right-hand corner that are just not doing anything. They're just sitting there forever. Yeah, those are just still sitting there, and I mean, this is a big chunk of the supply for Sziky right now, honestly. These are some chunky boys.
Yeah, I mean, that's, what is it? They're 4 supply each, right? So that is a big chunk of his army supply. And yeah, this is just rough for Sziky. Anytime Protoss doesn't have to worry about lurkers anymore, they can go for this Zealot DT Archon